You hear me okay? Can you see the balloons? Okay, I'm gonna move it now. Welcome. Oh, I haven't started talking about Cawthra Shelter yet, so far so good. This is after when you get the housing. I want the balloons in it. There. Alrighty. Nope, Peel Youth Village. I'm 46 years old. I stayed at Cawthra Shelter and Allen House. I'm wearing my Salvation Army blazer because we're doing a Cawthra Shelter live stream. So, in honor of Cawthra Shelter. I don't know if you can see the color, but do you remember those days? Well, the first time I stayed there was July 15th, 2019, right? The Salvation Army blazer, what color was it that they used to wear, the staff? What happened on July 24th? Thank you. What happened on July 24th? Today's August 18th. Did you celebrate Canada Day? Did you celebrate my sister's birthday and my aunt's birthday? That's July 2nd. Oh, June 24th now. I don't know. Was it still Mother's Day? Well, you guys celebrate everyday events, take everybody else's events, and then celebrate them again. No, the children don't want to talk about how many times the Malton Youth Hub opened. Sure, let's talk about the restraining order. How do I find out whose name it's in? I have to call the court, right? End of story. That didn't answer the question. Who's supposed to give me the paperwork? The police officers? So why didn't they give me paperwork if they're supposed to do it? Absolutely nothing to do with Cawthra Shelter, but shall we go back to Cawthra Shelter? Let me write so I know. Is it funny? Why is it closed? We have lots of time. Doesn't have to be an hour. Just remember that one. I may have to take my time and go over. Huh. You want it professional. These are on YouTube. I told you I don't do anything halfway, so you know, you'll just have to. Well, where are you watching it from? I regret asking where you are with your phone now. Ask a stupid question, get a stupid answer. Remember that one? Some people might remember me by that saying. When I was how old? A teenager. July 15th, 2019 was the first time I went to Cawthra Shelter, right? The police were called on me. And that's where I ended up. The second time was November 15th to the 28th. I ended up in Cawthra Shelter. March, what year was that one? I got arrested. 2021. After that was Cawthra Shelter, right? The 6-month diversion program with Canadian Mental Health Association from the court, right? That was one charge of uttering a threat. One night in jail. No ID, no coat. That was the Mississauga police station when they released me, and they gave me a Brampton bus ticket, and there was no Brampton bus, and I didn't know where to go and what to do. So I started asking police officers. And one of them, the police station was closed because it was Sunday, but one of them was nice enough to call Cawthra Shelter because I had no ID, right? No coat, nothing on me. So they were nice enough to call Cawthra Shelter and see if I could get in and then drive me there. I'll check the date for you. And I'll put it up later. I'll even make a Canva if you want of it. so far. Mm-hmm. 6 months. That's when I was working in Dollar Tree. That's 6 months. Every week, Canadian Mental Health. Raphael, I talked to, right? Every week, the bail supervisor I talked to for 6 months. At the end of it, the last one, remember the charge was withdrawn. So that worked out, at least. February 1st was when Cawthra Shelter called the police on me. And I went to the drop-in center downtown. And then that's when Franklin had a space. I was waiting for Canadian Mental Health, was it, to get back to me? The same Raphael. And while I was waiting at the drop-in center downtown with all my luggage and baggage, trying to throw things out, because you can only have 2 bags, right? So I was throwing things out to try to make it 2 bags, because I had a whole bunch of stuff I bought for when I move into a rental. So while I was doing all that, Franklin, maybe mental health was after, but that's how I got a ride. They got me an Uber to go to Brampton, because this was downtown Toronto. So when he said he had a space, they got me an Uber, because I had no money. And then whatever I didn't throw out, I took with me and went. So that's when I ended up in Bramalea, February the 1st. That'd be 2022 if I'm getting everything right off of my head. Somewhere. If I was in Allen House when I went back to Cawthra Shelter November, so the 15th or 16th from Allen House. And then they discharged me, and that's how I ended up in Malton homeless. So that was the October 2023. So that would be November 2022. So October 2023. Must have been September then. I was in Allen House. I went there. October, which month? You get 2 months, right, in Allen House? So we went over most of it, how I ended up in Malton. And then I got the subsidy, right? The housing subsidy. So, 15 minutes. Okay, that's my homeless history. The services. There are a couple more to mention, but we'll get into that. Right now, we're focusing on Cawthra Shelter. How I got there was the police was called on me, right? The police were called. The police were called. The police were called. Cawthra Shelter, the police were called, but I don't know why. And this is all on my record, right? So if every time the police go into their information, this is what they see about me. We had a big problem before when I opened the business. There were how many false calls? I have no idea. But now you've added all of these. Because, well, like I said, I spent the night in jail 3 times. I've been in a psychiatric ward 3 times. The homeless shelter, I don't know how many times. So, today, Yeah, let's talk about the lawsuit against me. Go for it. Let me hear all about it. Well, there are tons of ways to have children if you're single and you want to have children. So that, I guess, goes to if you really want to and your money. Why did they call the police? I don't know. I was in my mother's house. I usually go there because it's my mother and she lives right up the street. So I thought that was like normal. One of my fans is suing me for defamation. Oh. What did I do to them? What did I say about them? Well, it'd make it even sadder if I met them in Cawthra Shelter, wouldn't it? Hmm. By releasing personal information about them. One of your fans is suing you for defamation because I released personal information about them. So if they were one of my fans and they were on any one of my social media, if I release personal information, why do you think I did that? If I'm a narcissistic abuse recovery life coach. To tell who? Okay, let's go back to if you ever go to Cawthra Shelter. It's a homeless shelter, right? However you got there, you have to stay there. You're in a room with 3 other people, right? Because you share. There are bunk beds. There are 2 bunk beds, so 4 people in each room. They're all complete strangers, right? Unless you've been there before, you know them. But the first time you ever go there. So far, yes, we all agree that's true. What else? Let's go over a day if you stay there. Well, it's been a while since I've been there. So the whole point is there are people there today, right? Who are staying there. So you let me know if you know the information for today. That's the whole point, for everybody to have the same information that's accurate. That's correct, right? Everybody on the same page. Okay, so in the morning, they do bed checks and whatever. What time can you actually leave? 4:30? 4 o'clock? You can go out of your room if you smoke. And then what time is breakfast? 5? Until what time? 8, 8:30? Depends on what year you were there. When do they clean? What time do the doors lock? 9:30? 9? 12 o'clock is lunch. Do the doors open back? What time do they open? Not till 5? What time is dinner? 5? The room's open when? 5:45? Like I said, you'll have to remind me. It's been a while. Okay, what time is snacks? 8? 8 o'clock? And then you have to be in the shelter by 11, right? And then they do bed check at 12, from what I remember, to make sure you're in your room, or you can get discharged because you have to be in your room to have the space. Well, like I said, let me know if it changed. We can go over. You can only have 2 bags. Is that still the policy? Two-bag policy when you check in, when you enter, when you try to get into the shelter. Everybody's called it all sorts of things. Do you understand that? So why are you going over what I called it, if you know what I mean? Did you see the picture I posted of what I looked like in grade 9 the other day everywhere, my social media? It says, do you support Fat Lives Matter? Well, why don't you make a list of all the actual health problems if you're overweight? And then ask me again. Considering, have you ever seen the recipes I post? Chicken breast, right? Yeah, for weight loss, whichever it is, health reasons. If you have sugar problems, if you have salt problems, high blood pressure, a chicken breast is what? So the only fat and the only unhealthy is when you add things, right? If you add salt, then you're adding it. If you add butter, if you add oil, those are unhealthy, right? Yeah, like every other food, a steak. If you cook the steak, what's unhealthy? Only what you add, right? If you add butter and oil and other ingredients, just like the pork chops. I use seasoning, I don't use salt, right? Because salt is bad for your health. So if I use the other seasonings, I don't need to use salt. So, you explain which one you're talking about. Well, I walk everywhere. I play Pokemon. That's exercise, right? It costs money to go to a gym and you sit on a treadmill and do what? What do you do on a treadmill? You don't walk? What do you do on an exercycle? Why can't I just ride the bike? You go and you do exercise to sweat. You're complaining on my videos about me sweating. That's when I go to the mall and come back. I don't know why it's funny. How do you lose weight normally for everybody in the world? You change what? The food you eat? You get exercise? Which one? How do you lose weight? Two-bag policy. Yeah, no threats, no drugs, no intimidation, no harassment, no racism. Those are rules, right? Okay, so what happens? You have to be on Ontario Works to stay there? You have to have a source of income? Is that clearer? Ontario Works or be working to stay in Cawthra Shelter? And you have to see your housing worker? You have to have a housing worker? Which one? That's real good. I'm carrying Daniel Drummond's baby. Should I abort it? Do you believe in choices? So if you didn't know what a condom was, why are you asking now for somebody else's opinion? Weren't those all your choices? Okay, back to what a homeless shelter is. What is a homeless shelter? A shelter has a bed for you to sleep in for the night, and they give you food, right? 3 meals a day, 2 meals, whatever it is. So what else? They have bathrooms. Sure, Cawthra has bathrooms in the room, right? I've heard the Brampton one, the men's shelter, doesn't have, or maybe they updated. But there's a bathroom in each room. So what else do you expect from a homeless shelter? Let's go over that one first. I told you the first time I was there was July 2019. I applied for Ontario Works, and I got Ontario Works in August when I was staying there. So I had no money in the meantime. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how to get anywhere, how to go anywhere. Have you ever been there? What happens if you leave, if you've never been there? I would like you to go to the Malton Community Center. Just sit there for the day and look at all the kids. Maybe it'll help your decision. I made a mistake, it says. We could talk about the family shelter. I called. When I called, I think it was Central Intake, one of the lines, but you need a child to get in there. So I didn't qualify. If I did what some of you did, I probably would have found a child and got in. But I am not anybody else, like I told you. I am good because, like I said, right now, I am sitting in my own apartment. I have my own bathroom and my own kitchen. I was homeless for 6 years. How many times did I tell you? What else do I need? There's the option of a food bank if I need food, right? So what are essentials? What do you need to live? What is everybody in the homeless shelter doing there? Looking for what? A house? A job? What's more serious? We went over how Malton ended up homeless. Why I want to close the food banks and the alcohol stores in Malton right now. How tiny Malton is compared to Bramalea and Mississauga. The other shelter is Brampton, the men's shelter. What else didn't we go over? Well, since I'm nauseous, I think my stockpile of Mary Jane is essential to me. That's why I'm so grateful for the companies that deliver. Because during COVID and when I couldn't take the bus to go to the store, they delivered. I had no other way to get it. So if I'm nauseous, I would like that to go away. Yes, it's essential. If I needed to eat, then yes, it's essential to me. No, I didn't state I'm pro-life. Because as you heard me say, 200 bullets. Some grown adults. It would be better if they weren't around other people, infecting them. So I didn't state anything. Thank you very much. Are you? It says Amy is pro 200 bullets. Well, let's talk about you for a minute. Do you believe in consequences for your actions? Okay, how many people do you think right now in Malton stayed in Cawthra Shelter? Well, we have to go over where you live, right? Central Intake, Peel, covers the Peel shelter system, right? That's run by Peel Region. So it's all the Peel shelters. Where do you think the housing is when you get a Peel housing subsidy? It's Peel Region. So if you end up in Brampton, if you end up in Caledon, where are all those? Some people went over that Rexdale is Toronto. It's not Peel. Some of their workers didn't know which one. The two offices are Brampton, right? And Mississauga, the Ontario Works offices. This comment says, I love Brampton. I like going to the Bramalea City Centre to drink beer in the parking lot outside of the LCB-owned beer store. Well, when I went to Bramalea City Centre, I liked going to the Tim Hortons. Do you know where the door is? By the big garbage that smells all the time? I like being safe when I go to Bramalea City Centre. Outside that door, it doesn't seem so safe. It's kind of underground, right? Depends what time you go. Oh, I was there a lot, almost every day when I lived in Bramalea. Well, if you turn around from Bramalea City Centre, aren't the Ontario Works offices right there? The Fresco, the library, the employment offices, all of those offices, the police station, right on the corner, the bus terminal, Chinguzi Park on the other side. So, I might have yelled at you if I saw you. Because the children, remember when they were opening that children's place there in Bramalea? That was way after. Well, if I was in there and the guy was with a pen in the mall, a vape pen, I was walking behind him and I saw smoke. So what was I supposed to say if that was inside Bramalea? What year that was? I just told you what year that was. That's when I lived in Bramalea. That's how well when you walk all day long, you know places. If it was mine, do you think I would have put a post on Instagram? If it was my Mary Jane I smelt so early in the morning today? So let's go over this again. When I'm sitting on the rock, you're bothering me when I'm smoking, sitting on the rock. But you live outside my window below me. And when you smoke, you're calling me crazy. You screamed at me. How many times? That's not as clear as I can get. Like I said, if something actually happens, right? You're sitting here playing and joking with which one? If the police come and arrest you because you have drugs or whatever it is on you, you're going to come and blame me for that? When you're sitting here right here, everybody's seeing it? We're making it all clear and all legal, like you keep saying, right? You're going to sue me? You take it as a joke? Where? If the store only has indica, that puts you to sleep. I don't like buying indica because I don't want to pay money to sleep all day. So that's why it's not good to order on Friday, right? Because everybody takes everything. It's reality. I don't know the names. What I look for, like I said, is what I need. Do you understand? If you're nauseous and you open one of those bags, have you ever just smelt them? So if you're actually nauseous and I open that and I want to throw up, yes, that is the smell. The day I was nauseous, I was at my window and I smelt it and I wanted to throw up. What do you want me to do about it? You're having a fit because you don't believe I'm nauseous and I smoke? Well, how do I make you nauseous so I can show you? Do you understand what hybrid is? Please don't speak for me. A sativa diva. What is hybrid? Well, am I smoking for nausea or am I smoking for recreational? Well, you're talking about me, right? So I might as well get it correct. Everybody at the same time. A fan account is a good idea until people start doing things like this, right? And then what's going to happen to the person who opened the account? You keep telling me the word instigating. I'm telling you reality. Day. A mushroom dispensary. Well, I already told you what I think about that. What do mushrooms do? Why is a dispensary? They were trying to legalize it. So what are the effects of mushrooms? If that is psychosis, why would you legalize it? Well, yes. Again, I just said, why did you want to legalize it? So how long were you doing that? Mushrooms. Let's go over Mary Jane. It's a plant, right? So when you grow the plant, what do you do with it? To smoke it. What drugs have you tried in your lifetime and what is your favorite? It clearly stated Cawthra Shelter. So again, what do you want me to say if all of the people and all of the comments are directed towards? Well, they have AA in Cawthra Shelter, right? And they have a drug counselor in Cawthra Shelter, right? This is a homeless shelter, a female, the only female shelter, right? Where females are. Plus, there are males. Plus, they have those services for addiction. So, which one is the good idea if these females are actual victims? We went over that too a long time ago. Shouldn't there be a separate shelter for female victims of abuse or addiction or anything like that, like a whole range, just females? If if Cawthra Shelter, which one? If the people follow the rules or Cawthra Shelter kicked you out? Well, do you remember reality? I used to go onto the road, basically the sidewalk, to smoke, and you guys were in the back of Cawthra by the gazebo, smoking and doing whatever. So if they actually did the same thing, got you kicked out or called the police on you, what would have happened? They had security guards. What did you remember you were doing to them? If which one? How many times did I say what's going to happen when you get a house? What's going to happen when you leave here? Yeah, the same thing. How are you going to get food? What are you going to do? Can you clean for yourself? You're all sitting here talking about a rental and housing. A rental comes with TV and internet, some of them, right? Comes with a bed. If you move into an apartment, it's empty. It comes with nothing. Where are you going to get the money to get all that stuff? You wanted reality. A rental. Do you know how much internet is? A TV? A rental, you just rent and you live there, right? If you have an apartment or a house, your own, you just moved in, brand new, with nothing. Half the people, 390 is what you get for shelter for Ontario Works, right? and 343. No, why don't I calculate it to be all clear? 733 a month. So when the reality was, I paid 520 for a rental, right? 525 for my rental. So that's your whole Ontario Works check, 733, and 520 I paid just to live there in Bramalea. So whatever I had left is what I lived off of, because 390 is what they give you for shelter. So when the rental was 520, I had to put my basic personal needs money to live there. So that's the first issue. That's how I went to the food bank in Bramalea. For my current place, I have a housing subsidy, so they pay part and I pay part. No, I haven't listened to music in a while. I haven't gone on YouTube because Mhm. How do you hear music? Speaking of that, nowadays. No, everybody. How do you hear new music? Do you listen to the radio? Do you have a radio station? Do you hear it on your phone? Do you hear it on YouTube? I'm just curious. Yeah, there are things like Spotify and Apple. That's why I asked. Why is it funny? How do you hear new artists? If it's just a song or if it's actual. Yeah, speaking of an album, because we went over that, right? People used to buy albums and CDs. Now you just buy a single track. So what do you think is better? Well, Apple Music, how do you have to buy them, right? Okay, let's go into reality. Where's there a record store? Where can you buy records or CDs? Does anybody use CDs? Do you have it on your phone? What do you have? The same? Well, go ahead. You don't buy tracks, you just stream it. We're trying to separate, right? Mm-hmm. An HMV at Bramalea City Center. But does anybody have a CD player? Why do you buy it? Oh, T-shirts, collectibles, collectibles, like T-shirts and little figurines of TV shows that don't exist anymore, and movies like Freddy Krueger. You buy figurines of him, collectibles. Isn't that what it's for? I thought Hot Topic was for dresses. Hmm? Hot Topic is for books. I thought that was Walmart. You have a table where you get books. That's Cawthra Shelter. You saw a table where they have books. I know Allen House has a nice room where they have a bookcase with books. What was that book I saw? It was on PTSD. Oh, that was while I was giving the whole house PTSD. I said, I'm just going to sit in here and read this book and see who wrote it. In case I ever get out. I should know this. Do you? Do you see the joke? Yes? Good. You want to go back to who's responsible? Okay. When I was there were meetings, right? monthly meetings at Cawthra Shelter. So when I was there, the program manager was Trevor, right? Blessing was the director. So they explained at the meetings. The breakfast is their responsibility. The lunch and dinner are catered, right? Snacks is whoever, I guess, the staff. They get donations or whatever the case is for snacks. I don't know if you're at that meeting, but Trevor was trying to explain the bread, how they get the bread, and how they have to wait for Peel Region. That was one meeting. If they're run by Salvation Army and Peel Region, took them over, took part of it over. That's what they were trying to separate, I assume, right? Trevor was trying to explain that Peel Region funds their certain parts of it, like the breakfast, like he said, the bread and whatever is breakfast. People were asking for bread with lunch. Do you remember that one? So the little boy behind the counter just gave you your styrofoam container of lunch because he brought 12, so he gave out 12. He wasn't responsible for the bread. He didn't own the bread. That was Trevor's bread, right? So he can't give you a loaf of bread with your lunch because he just brought the lunch for you. If that makes it clearer now or makes any difference, something like that. Well, you feel free to ask them. Oh, yeah, as everyone was explaining why I saw the bread truck, why I knew the bread truck. How often do they get bread? Once a week? So how much bread do they get? How does Trevor know how much bread to order? Who does the ordering? Is that Geeta, the housing worker? No, I'm not joking. Who did the ordering for the bread? Reality, as a business. If they order every week, how much does Trevor know? How does Trevor know how to order? How much to order every week? If it's a homeless shelter and he doesn't know who's going to be in there, or how many people, or how much bread you want. If the bread is for breakfast, that's what they're responsible for, right? When else? Well, you explain to me when they got bread. Again, 2019 is my first time, so go for it. Is it still open today? Then until when? Do you remember the holidays there, Christmas and Thanksgiving? Were you ever there for those? And think about what you actually had, what you ate, what year it was. The food changed, right? But you went over where the kitchen was and they needed renovations and got a whole dining area and kitchen space. So if you were there in 2019 and you remember standing in line with the lady giving you your food, was that Sheila? Uh-huh. And now you remember the whole kitchen and dining area and the little boy behind the counter who just serves you your styrofoam that's catered, right? Somebody comes in with the food, gives it to you, and leaves. Okay, go back to what you were eating. 2019, what were your options? Egg salad and tuna sandwich? Now go back to when they had the schedule up. Every day, breakfast or lunch and dinner was up, right? What they had for the week and the weekends. So considering it's a homeless shelter, why don't you really actually think about what you got? If somebody else had to pay for it, or if you had to go buy it in a restaurant. Yes, I did when I was there. Do you ever think you will move on and forget about being homeless to focus on your future goals? I got a housing subsidy and I'm in my own bachelor apartment right now. I started my own nonprofit organization with my ODSP money. My narcissistic abuse recovery life coach business I'm doing for free right now. Actually doing live streams on Zoom, have a YouTube channel, all for free because I can't make money technically from my apartment. So Crabs in the bucket keep destroying my future goals, me making money doing all of this, and you guys keep benefiting, getting all of it for free. I'm not sure how to take that, how to feel about that. I go day by day. It's not funny. We want to pay you. I would like money. Money's nice. I like money. Yet, do you see this? 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Do you see this? Are you? You've been going to a food bank to get food. You're homeless. You have no house. Why are we all looking for money? Where's the money? Why are you laughing? Tell us where the money is then. Your mayor has it and she won't give you any? That's called a grant and a loan. They're not obligated to give you any. Did you remember the CERB payment? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Twitch and YouTube, as we went over, you need to have a certain amount of followers or viewers or subscribers and watch time. So you can't qualify to make money unless you have certain things. Patrick Brown stole all your money. I think that's why Bonnie Crombie got a divorce. Remember when they wanted to dissolve Peel Region? That's when they were fighting. I think you guys caused it. What'd you do to them at the library? You wanted the money? Oh. Maybe that guy just blamed Patrick Brown for nothing. We should look into that. Well, you're not supposed to swear on Twitter. See, that's where she didn't ban you. You swore and you got banned. You're not supposed to do that, right? So she didn't ban you technically. Probably maybe she reported you or told people. I don't know the situation, but that's a case of careful who you're blaming. Why is it ridiculous? If it helps somebody, it's 52 minutes so far. If everybody who ever stayed in Cawthra Shelter for the past 6 years saw this, what would happen? Well, see, now when you tell me that, Patrick Brown used community centers to play hockey during COVID, which was against the rules. Look it up. It's like the Peel Police, right? I don't know the situation. I was focused on Mississauga. But the community center is like now, the same community center, right? You have to rent it through who? The city of Mississauga? So if Patrick Brown was the mayor of Brampton, and that was the Brampton Community Center, I'm pretty sure he didn't use it for a bad thing, right? To play hockey. He probably got it for free, the same way everybody's doing here in Malton. Why I can't get the community center. Right, Mayor? Oh. Well, go ahead. How much is the gym at the community center? No, for Patrick Brown. So he can give you back your money. Do I have any mental illnesses? Is PTSD considered a mental illness? Is CPTSD considered a mental illness? Depression, anxiety, which one? Do I have any mental illnesses? If he was the mayor, why wouldn't he get a discount? Maybe there's a conflict of interest. He was on the Peel region and the city of Brampton. Maybe he was a friend of the library. Do you remember those bags? I wanted the purple one. I wanted to be a friend of the library. No, I didn't have money to get the bag for. Mind. U.S. That was Chinguacousy Library. What community center do you think that is? They all know. You go to the Freshco, you buy the 5 sub bread, and you buy cold cuts. You don't go to Subway. You make 5 sandwiches for you and 4 friends. If everybody represented all communities, don't you think everybody would be at peace? If everybody accepted other people for being who they are, why would you be complaining about anything? Think of how quiet it would be. The 35-cent noodles are at Freshco. They have beef, chicken, and vegetable. I make 2 packs because I get hungry. You can always use different seasoning. You can always add seasoning. You can always add whatever you'd like to them. You cannot use the seasoning. Well, do you make it into soup or do you drain the water and just eat the noodles? What do you do with them? The 35-cent noodles at Freshco. You forget I have nausea, right? So there aren't many options in noodles that aren't spicy and have pepper in them, but have a taste. They need to have a taste, not just taste like I'm eating water. Depends on the kind of noodles, right? If it absorbs all the water or there's water left. If the noodles swell up and get soggy. That's why people have spent millions trying to find their noodles. Oh. Well, your life, see, that's a different story, right? Some people are alive and happy and doing what they want to do, enjoying themselves. And some people are alive and they're the most miserable person, making everybody else miserable. So, do you? Telling you about narcissistic abuse, saving your life, what it means. You crack the egg in the water. Do you stir it? The egg. Have you ever tried that? When you drop the egg in the water to stir it really quickly with the skewer or a chopstick? And then you get the little strands of cooked noodles, egg noodles. No? You just crack an egg in there? You should try the other way. It's fun. Why? If it's a food thing, if you want to try it. You break it up. Get a skewer next time. When you drop it, just start stirring the skewer as quick as you can. In circles. As quick as you can in circles. And see what happens to the egg. When you drop it into the hot boiling soup, how do you think it cooks? It's a raw egg. You didn't see it in the window, the party you threw last night? Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can show you. There are the balloons and the lights. See them? They were lit up. If you saw through the window or you saw the video on Instagram. I had all kinds of music playing all day. I had the speaker in the window so my whole building could hear it and know how mad I was at them. I put the speaker in the window so the whole building heard. Everybody was there. See, exactly. Makes the soup more filling. Why I buy the 30 eggs from Freshco. If you're hungry and that's all you have. Yeah, remember when I was homeless, you can't go buy an egg, right? You can't go buy one egg. Right now, if you live in an apartment, can you go buy one egg? I showed you the package. Those are boiled eggs. They're already boiled in a package there from Walmart. 2 or 1 or whatever. You can buy that. Yeah. If you're homeless, you can't cook anything. So if you have a knife, a plastic knife, you can buy those boiled eggs and cut them up, put them into a salad, put them with whatever you have. Like you just said, makes it more filling, right? If you're actually hungry. Okay, what if those 35-cent noodles? Depends where you are, right? You can add shrimp, you can add chicken. Do you remember when I was homeless? I went to Shoppers Drug Mart and I bought shredded chicken and a pack of tortillas with points. And then I made chicken wraps. So that was already shredded chicken in the freezer section. So if you buy the 35-cent noodles and that was free with Shoppers points, how full would you be? Or beef patties are like $2, right? How many days did I buy a beef patty because I had a toonie? What's the reality? If you're hungry, if you only have what, $5? If you live in your own house, that's why when I go to the grocery store, I buy things ahead, an extra $1, an extra $2. Pantry essentials. Remember that list when I posted that? The pantry essentials list on the blog? That was all stuff you can buy ahead and keep in your pantry because they don't spoil. You don't need a fridge, they don't spoil. You keep going over boost meal replacement. When I have actual food, why would I need meal replacement? I told you 100 times, I believe in eating the actual food. If I buy a carrot or a potato, a chicken, why would I need meal replacement? A can of liquid what? What's in that boost? Canned turkey is also a good meal if you're poor. But as you saw the other day, right? I bought 3 pork chops for $5 and I just stuck them in the oven, or you can fry them in a pan. Takes a couple minutes. So I don't know how much a can of turkey is, but if you're poor, that was $5 for 3 pork chops. I don't think poor has anything to do with it, right? I find ways around that. Yeah, $1 is $1, Malton. Do you understand that now? If I paid $5 for 3 pork chops and canned turkey or canned chicken is 2 something, 2.50, why would I buy a can of chicken or turkey? You're confused why I keep posting about minimum wage? Because today is August 18th. Did you see what that says? October 1st, it's going up. That's why I posted it, because October is coming up. That's going to be minimum wage in October. My cooking looks inedible. Oh, I'd love to see what you eat and what you cook. Apartment 47. The commenter. Well, whole foods are what? Does that give you digestion problems? Whole foods, when you eat them, what happens to your digestion? You're going to talk about constipation and actual stomach issues, right? When you eat brown rice and brown bread, the difference in white and brown bread is what? So how do you digest them? We can talk about gluten-free. Why, right? If you have a gluten allergy, why do you need gluten-free? When I had a job, how did I get over my lifelong nausea? At Dollar Tree, I started at 6 o'clock in the morning. They open at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I did like back room and then I was assistant manager. So I walked from Cawthra Shelter to the Dollar Tree on Dundas. So I smoked on the way. And then I went to the Tim Hortons, got coffee, and then went into work. That's how I did it. It depends which rice. Some of them are from the dollar store, some at the grocery store, some are like instant rice. Now you can get a package that you stick in the microwave for like a minute. They've got all kinds that are just white rice. So it depends which one, right? Plus, they have a rice cooker, which takes how long if you actually want to cook your own or feed more than just you? Well, it depends because if I work in a food place, I like food, right? But do you think that would work out if I have nausea every morning and I had to go into like Burger King or Wendy's? Well, I worked at the International Center in the snack bar and the cafe. So there's food there. That's how long. 19 years old. So what did I miss with Cawthra Shelter? Did I go over everything? Well, the front office, the housing workers, the staff, the food, the program manager, the director, the security, the bathrooms, the rooms, the roommates, the plumbing. Stop overflowing the toilets. Why did they remove the valve? Because you keep overflowing the toilets. Stop using the bed sheets when you overflow the toilets. Who washes the bed sheets? I don't know. Let's go ask the staff. Any annoying customers from your old job? Well, see, it depends. Because remember, I worked in Jack and Jill in the Westwood Mall in Malton. So if there were any annoying customers, I'm pretty sure you're walking around right now. If I had a car, I could do Uber Eats. Do you know how much you make, how you get your money when you do Uber Eats? How you actually make money when you do that as a job? You should look into that. If you can pay your rent and pay your bills off of it, is what I'm asking. Uber Eats. Yep. Steady income to get a job, get a house, and pay your rent. No reality. Well, when you lie to people, how do you think they end up back homeless and out on the street and pissed off at people? You want to lie to them and scam them and false hope, and then when it doesn't work out and they come back after you, that doesn't make sense. What is fan mail? There's email and text, and look what you guys have been doing. Actual mail. We've gone over. I don't get actual mail, right? I go to the post office to collect, or I get it delivered somewhere else. It used to be my mother's house until the restraining order, so I can't do that anymore. Yeah, I'd love for you guys to realize how grateful you should be and how lucky you are. Imagine you get a commission for each order. Okay, what would the commission be? Let's say it's 10% and they order $20. 10% of $20 is what, $2 you get? That's the reality. Do you think I've never watched YouTube when I opened my fan mail on live? Do you understand? You do things on purpose. If you knew I was opening it live, you want me to imagine what you would put in there? No. How old do you think I am? Why do you think I keep telling people to look at me? I would put a drawing I did of you. See, that's normal. You draw something, put it in the mail, and send it to a YouTuber or somebody you know or like. Have you ever seen YouTube? Have you ever typed in opening fan mail? Have you ever seen one of them screaming? Well, what do you think they sent them? Why they got post office boxes? No, it's not funny. If that's the same thing, that's your house address. Mm-hmm. At the same time, how many years? YouTube, Twitch, how many generations? How old were you? If people were lying and getting away, which one? If they were taking advantage of people? If I think about it, on Twitch, do you remember what Pokimane was going through? How old was she when she was doing Twitch? The only girl, one of the girls. Sniper Wolf, do you remember all of that? When? 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 I'm starting at 2019, right? When? You'll go back to what year? 2015, 2016? Before? So who's reality now? Do you like Lily Singh? I think you spelt it wrong. Let's ask. Hmm? It's two L's, like the bad word. HE double hockey sticks. Why I know that? I don't know. That's why I told you to go check. She's gonna sue us? No venom. Scorpion? Why? Why we can't both be Scorpion? Yes, we would see who would win. Why do you play Mortal Kombat? Why we can't play with boys? Is this still funny? Oh. Ella likes the ladies a little too much for me, but his songs are fine. Hmm? Where for youth by youth? Why I knew that. Well, whose line is that if it's not LL likes the ladies? What do you think LL mean? Why I know that. Is that a bucket hat? His hat. Oh, look at that. Ladies love Cool J. What does that mean? LL Cool J. One day they'll figure it out. He's on that show where they lip sync things. You ever seen that show? Lip sync battle? Is that what it's called? How old is? You know that song about your mama that he made? Oh. I'm trying to calculate how old I was, but I don't know the year. I'll go look it up after. I like my bucket hat for my bucket head. Did you like that video? Oh. Well, 6 years, man. You just got that. I've never been anywhere. Nausea prevents you, right? But you understand, it's legal here. Mary Jane. It's not legal everywhere in the US, so I can't really travel there, right? Because I would have an issue. I can't travel to other countries because what would I do? Certain ones, they have it there. It would, because nausea is still going to be the priority, right? What am I going to do? Cuba, and you want me to drink the water? Nausea's not enough. You want me to risk everything? Kind of music. Kind of food. Oh, there are great deals now because of the hurricane. Well, that's even better. You want the plane to go down in the water before it even makes it there. Hurricane season. We should all go. Fan meet up in Cuba. Sure. Just reading what it's. Hurricane season. Tickets are cheap. You only stay a day, right? You can risk the hurricane. I'm sure the warning is for nothing. Great deals because it's hurricane season still. The package of the Mary Jane, and then you can keep it. Well, when I went to a certain concert, we got the newspaper that was at the stand to get the band to sign it because there was nothing else. So it depends what you have on you, doesn't it? Now you understand why people get their body parts signed? No. If 117, this one went longer. I guess Cawthra Shelter is a really good popular place. Everybody likes it. My God, do you have your screen closed or something? Said she's happy. I'm just being mean. What should I eat today? What should I make? I have to go look through my cupboards and my fridge. That's the way I usually do it. See what I have first, and then if I need to buy something. Why would you ask that? Will me and the creature ever settle our beef? Do you understand what abuse is? Do you understand what violence against women is? I am a stranger living in an apartment, and this is a stranger living in another apartment. What? I don't understand settle beef. When a man assaults a woman, he should go to jail. If it's a complete stranger, I don't understand how you see it. Do you? You see the situation escalating. Well, he got more of his friends to call me crazy. All of Malton, the community, to spread their mouth. These are a bunch of men, so what should I be concerned about? False information? Correcting it? Which one? I'm doing a live stream right now. So do you want to go back to how many people in Malton ever stayed at Cawthra Shelter? Well, which social media do you use? Depends. What's most popular? Instagram, because it's instant. Everybody uses it. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Their opinion doesn't mean anything, but when people are calling the police and calling mental health, we are going to go over e-jazz again because that's right down the street from where I live, right? That apartment building is one of two buildings. The other building I lived in when I was born in Malton until I was 13. That's 3420 and 3425 Morningstar Drive, the apartment buildings. So calling people crazy is a whole different story, right? Because he didn't make it, did he? You blamed who? The police for killing him? You know how many years that was? Which side? I went through all the police documents and all the autopsies, all the actual documents I could find. Have you looked into it? Where they went, which hospital, what it actually said? That was the police, then SIU, then how many different reviews, then all of the news. So how many did you go through? We were talking about Cawthra Shelter, if you ever stayed in there. We were talking about the homeless, right? If we talk about housing, the homeless, the food banks, how is it not connected? If there was no homelessness until COVID, that's when people lost their house, lost their job, and ended up homeless. How bad is it? Well, it depends, like I said, what you expect, right? Because it's a homeless shelter. You have a bed and you have food. So what do you expect from a homeless shelter? My bad experience. What was it? The people? Which one? The staff or the people that you stayed with who stayed in the shelter? If you ask me what my bad experience was, sounds good until you go out at 4 o'clock in the morning when you have to go to the gazebo, but it's too dark and you're too scared because you're a female to go there, but that's the only place you can smoke a cigarette until which one? You go across to the Tim Hortons and a bunch of people already know you're new. Which one? How did my stuff get stolen? Well, nobody's lying here. Why did they have to start locking the rooms if the rooms were open all day because of COVID, right? That's where the problem started. The rooms were open all day. So anybody went in. Remember the problems I had? People were coming in. The girl who punched me said she had privilege to be in the room. If they had rules about you can't go into other people's rooms, right? COVID, the rooms were open all day. Normally, the rooms are locked with your stuff in it. So it really depends on what year. COVID, they took your temperature. Do you remember that at Cawthra Shelter? Why they took your temperature? Well, everybody went through COVID, right? So how did you know? They who took people's temperature. At Allen House, they did it differently, right? I did my own. They did the swab and then they sent it to do the test. Because to stay in Allen House, right, you have to make sure it's a public shelter. You can't risk everybody in there. So you had to get the testing done once a week, was it? When? Which one? What were the symptoms of COVID? How do you know if you have a fever? Why did they take your temperature? Why do you usually take your temperature? To do what? It wasn't posted anywhere? Your temperature has to be between what and what? Why did they do it at bed check every night? The lady came in with a thermometer and checked your temperature. Why do you think she did that? When you walked into the front, there were the thermometers on the door, on the wall. Why do you think they made you do that? Why did they check your temperature when you entered Cawthra Shelter? During COVID. Yes, during COVID. Why did you have to wear a mask? How was COVID spread? You wore the mask to prevent it, right? So you wouldn't infect anybody? That's as simple as it was. You put the mask over your mouth because that's how you infected other people. That's why you're not supposed to go out. Because contact was the only way, right? That's why you had the mask on. That's why you could go out in public, because you had the mask. So nobody could spread it. That was the solution. Will you explain it differently to me? Well, when you're banned from Cawthra Shelter, there's a certain period, right? And then you can come back. You're only banned for a certain amount of time. Yeah, see, you were the problem. If you hung out in large groups, right? You were the problem. You're why people's businesses closed down and why it spread. Because you couldn't stop hanging out in large groups and sharing things, infecting more and more and more, spreading it. You didn't wear a mask. You didn't wear a mask correctly. So how do you think you all spread it? Why do you think it took so long? Why do you think you have no job in house now? You didn't want the vaccination. Why? You were complaining COVID was going to take your life. You were going to end up dead. But then you didn't want the vaccination. You didn't want to wear a mask. But spreading it was talking to people. But you wanted to gather in groups and have parties. Why do you blame the government? That solves what? The desperation? The depression? Because while some people were partying, other people were losing their jobs, their house. Which one then? Yeah, at the same time, right? Some people, they made you take time off work fully paid. Some companies didn't do that, right? If everybody was fair and everybody listened to the rules, if everybody shut down when they were supposed to, it wouldn't have spread, right? Some people let their workers work. Some people didn't have the proper, some people didn't bother. So if everybody did the same thing then, it would have stopped, right? Nobody would have spread it. It would have been Done and over. Yep. Which goes back to why they let people, remember, they were drink in the park, don't drink in the park. It's a lot of months. How the business is closed. Remember food? Where did you get food? You couldn't go to the restaurant, so how did you get food? Then the restaurants were the only way to get food. People were crowding them, buying whatever they could, right? People were doing things illegally to make any money, making meals at home and feeding them. I got 2 COVID vaccinations when I was staying in Cawthra Shelter. Yeah, I still have the vaccination passport on my phone to show people. Do you remember that? When you had to show people to get in to make sure you had it? Yeah, do you know why they locked you down? Let's go back over the color chart. Do you remember the color chart? Red, yellow, green. Well, what does a red light mean? Stop, right? Then they had to lock you up. So you just said you went out, you hung out, you went in groups, you hung out with people, you didn't wear a mask, you spit everywhere, you drank, you smoked, you did whatever you wanted. And then you kept spreading it and spreading it and spreading it, more and more people. And then more people were dying, and then you were complaining. So if you just stayed in your house, just like they said, how would it have spread? How would anybody else have got it? If there were 10 people who had it and they stayed in their house, like they said, isolation, right? They had to isolate you. Everybody had to isolate. So if everybody just stayed in their house for that same month, how would it have spread anywhere to anyone? They would have just, like you were in the hospital, right? Yours would have been cured, those 20 people, and that would have been it. Silly to only get 2 shots, but not the boosters. What were the 2 shots for? What was the booster for? If that would have worked, it would have worked. Well, how many months did people not listen? Why weren't they listening? Is stay in your house that much? Do you remember all the people were going crazy over bottled water, food? So if you were in your house with everything you needed, every luxury, you had internet, you had your phones, you had electricity, you had water. It's not like water and lights were gone. If you had everything, all you had to do was stay in your house. Why was this a problem? That's what I don't understand. How entitled were you? You could still go to the grocery store, right, and get food. So all they told you was just stay inside for a month or you'll die. This is like a pandemic. You got unprotected with strangers online. Well, just be careful if they show up at your house in real life. Hmm. It's only funny until it happens. Well, this one's gone over an hour and a half, so I think I'm going to end it here. I guess if you know anybody who ever stayed at Cawthra Shelter or who got housing or, no, don't say has an opinion because then all of America's going to join in again. I think they came here too to go in the shelter. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you actually stayed there at the same time, I hope maybe all of you get the same information or you can figure it out. Do you remember how many times, which rules, whose rules, where you get them? I couldn't see my housing worker. I couldn't get the rules. You're supposed to get them from the worker. So, if it will help, a couple people? Let's hope so. Because, like I said, they're still open. They're still the only homeless shelter in Peel. Enjoy your day. See you next time.